Hey, this is Zeb, and thank you for joining me here at Zeb's Corner. Today, I want to get into something about the attack and the release and the relations to one another when it comes to the compressor, right? And a lot of times you would hear lots of engineers talking about, oh, they reached for this particular compressor because they like the attack, they like the quick attack on the compressor that they chose, right? It has a great attack time or real quick attack time, and you would hear them say this, and you're never quite, you might not be sure what the hell they're talking about. And what they mean is attack on any compressor is how quick or how slow it begins to act. The compressor acts, right? The quicker it does, the more you hear, or the less, or the more you hear, right? And the slower it is, the slower it starts to act. You don't hear less in the volume, but you hear less compression actually taking place when it's a slower attack. And sometimes it's mainly used on drums, quick or slow, whatever, or in the middle, because you want some pump or you want some dynamic to actually take place, or for whatever odd reason you wish to have the attack act fast or slow, right? But you want it to act quick because you may, if you want it to act quick, should I say, you may want it to act quick because you want to hear the compressor act. So you don't want to do too much dialing in and dialing out and everything, and you want the compressor to act as quickly as possible. Slower, more room, more width, maybe, depending on your track that you're trying to do. All right, so I'm going to play you this drum track here. I'm going to play you this whole entire track. It's not finished, as you can see. I just started playing with it, and I'm going to play just these 2 bars here. And we're going to just listen to the whole music of it, and then we're going to zone in looking at the attack. All right, here we go. Okay, we got to wait for that little stuff to stop. Okay. And there you have it. It's nothing crazy. I'm still working on it. And all we're going to do now is just listen to the drums, right? And not every compressor is designed the same, but they're basically the same in the concept. What they do or what you want them to do will depend on the compressor that you're going to reach for. Now, here in Reason, as you can see, I'm using the onboard compressor that's on there, which is cool because it does behave the way you want it to, right? Just the basic stuff, the ratio, the compression, the threshold, the release, and stuff like that. There's a knee here, the one that says peak, but that's really just the knee. We would get into that later. And here is the fast. See where that says compressor fast attack off? So right now it's on. I'm sorry, it's off. So when you turn it on, obviously it's on. There's nothing to go in between though. There's no middle. There's no, third quarter to the left, whatever the case is. It's either on or it's off. But your swooping area will really rely on how much threshold, how much compression you're allowing it to act or begin, right? Or your ratio. Where in between do you want this compressor to go? 2/1, 3/1, 4/10, whatever the case is, right? And you release, how slow or how long, how short or how long does the compressor hold for? Okay, very two important parts that I think a lot of people kind of get lost in the translation. Compression is really one of the few things, or I shouldn't say the few things, or one of the few components of engineering that it will take you years to understand what it really means, right? And once you get the understanding of what that really means, your world is open. Like, I don't know, like everything is your oyster or whatever the case is. Everything is open to you because right here is where too much is too much or too little is not enough, right? And if you understand this whole entire spectrum here, you'll get how fast attacks make a difference or how slow attacks make a difference in your track, right? Talk too much. Let's now just play the track. Wait, I shouldn't have done that. I want to go here. And this section at the bottom, this beautiful stuff here, we'll give that a color. Right? That is the drums. Let's actually put that up here. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to scroll down a little bit. We're going to do that. And now we're going to play the drums just by itself. And the master compression is off, but we're going to turn that back on a little later. And we're going to play with just, again, this section. All right? And here we go. Right now, as you can see, the fast is off. Nothing metering there. I'm going to turn it on now. Okay. We're going to turn it off again in a minute. All right, now it's off. Listen for how, even though it's saying, even though the fast attack is on, listen for the subtle differences with these settings pretty much almost at default. Actually, let's take this threshold and put that at default. Now, everything is literally at default. And so we're going to hear the fast attack time act with everything set in default. Here we go. And on. Off. On. Now, what you should have heard is the low end widening a little bit when it's off, right? And when it's on, it's crushing. I don't want to say crushing, but it's starting to act. The compressor is acting at this point, right? And so that bottom squeezes in a little bit, and then it releases, right? Let's listen to it again. It's on. Off. All right, you should have heard it. There's a little bit of openness when when the attack is off, and when it's on, it starts to act. The compressor's starting to act now. All right, even though it's already on, I'm certain you could hear it. You might hear a subtle difference when it's off and when it's on. The compressor. Here we go. It's on. Off. On. Off. Oops. And as you can see, these things are so subtle, but they begin to make a difference once you start to understand. Now, let's really get crazy. Let's turn this threshold down a little bit, right? And let's turn on the fast and see what we hear. Off. On. As you can see, when it's on, it again, it starts to act quicker, right? Since there's no in between, it's either quick or not. And that's what's happening with this particular attack time here in this channel strip of the drum track, right? And so with the threshold being squashed a little bit or closing, right? The door starting to close a little bit, right? It's reacting differently, right? You get a little bit more pressure, you get a little bit more dynamic, something exciting is starting to actually start to take place, and you can hear it. Let's play with the release and give you a fast and slow and medium, because you get to play with the dial either way in between. So let's take it back to default, and let's play with it going fast and then slow. All right, here we go. We're going to get drastic. This is a medium. We're going to make it quick. That's a quick release. Now we're going to make it slow. Oops, it didn't work. Let's bring that back. There we go. Now that's going to be a slow release. Let's make it fast again. Medium. And as you can see, there's so many variants as you can play with. Let's take off the fast. Let's take off the Attck and play with the release and see if you hear any subtle differences. Fast again. Oops. Medium. Slow. Not to confuse you, but again, once you start to understand the relations between the threshold, the Attck, and the release, you start to understand how these things correlate with one another. With it fast on, with the Attck on, we're going to make this quick again, and let's listen. Medium. Slow. Now, all release is how long the compressor is holding and or how quick is it letting it go, right? So you have this weird, beautiful relationship between the fast acting Attck with a dial in between how slow or how fast you want the compressor to hold. So it's only saying how long you want that compression to actually start to be held, right? Now, we didn't even begin with the ratio. So let's really get drastic and turn this up, right? Now you're in the expanding area. Once you pass 10, you start to expand, right? Actually, let's go here. Let's go with your typical 2/8. That's fine, right? And this is a basic setting. And so compression actually starts to take place here. And once you cross over the 10, you start to limit or expand, and it's a little different. But there's going to be a relation between that and the fast, right? Here we go again. Let's take this off. Put it back. As you see, it's crushing. Let's take the fast off. Without the fast, or without the Attck on, you still hear some pressure going on, but it's not as drastic as with the Attck on at a very fast time. Really tight. Tight, but not acting extremely fast. Let's take this off. All right. This is it off, on. Really fast. Now we're only exaggerating just so you could hear the Attck act in the time that it's supposed to act, right? You would never really use that too hard unless you're doing something like parallel compression, right? And we'll get into that later, right? But that's the only time you would ever really use an Attck time or crush it so hard, unless you just really want to do something glitchy or whatever the case is. But usually drums don't usually hit that hard, right? So let's dial this back. Let's do something like that. And let's take this off actually and bring this something here. I think that's what I had it at. I don't remember, but this is fine. Right? That's fine. Now, what I want to also show you is the options in the reverse, so to speak, right? In this master here, you got this Attck here, and you could go anywhere, right? You could swoop between the slow and the fast, right? And you have the same option with the release. You have an auto, so it would actually act and behave where it feels it needs to behave, and then you could go and make it slow, or I mean quick, or slow, right? And let's put it back here, and let's turn this on. It's already on. The ratio is set at 4, right? You don't have much of an option to swoop in between. You just either get it 2/1, 4/1, I think 10/1, something like that, right? And it just acts pretty quickly. This is almost like a fast acting ratio, so to speak. So we get to play with those components as well. But I really want you to zone in into the Attck, and you will start to hear how quick the Attck time reacts when it's acting. And this is where engineers talk about, I like this compressor because it has a great Attck time, and this is what they're saying. It acts and behaves when they want it to, or as quickly as they want it to. And here we go. This is a slow Attck, right? And this is a fast Attck. Slow again. Make it fast again. As you can hear with the fast, again, it's doing something, right? The 4/1 ratio is a crazy setting because some activity starts to begin. If you put it over 2/1, with this threshold sort of closed, the door is not completely closed. If it was completely closed, it would look like that. And this is what it would sound like. Let's just take a listen. All right, that's 2/1 with a very closed door and a very fast acting time, right? Slow acting time, right? I think you guys could really hear that. Let's turn the threshold up. But some of the dynamics or the magic happens, in my opinion, over here. All right, let's do that again. You should hear the difference. Let's say that's too little. Let's say that's a little too tight for you, right? Then you could always raise the threshold, right? But we're not dealing with that. Sorry, let me not even get into that. Let's just really stick with the Attck. And you really, I think you guys already heard it. I don't want to have to repeat that a little too much, but it's really critical to understand the Attck time, right? And how that relates to the dynamics of your track, right? And the things that relate to it. So right now, I think the release was on auto. So let's put it at medium. Let's hear the difference between fast and slow with the release and the relations with the Attck. Here we go. And we're going to make it fast. We're going to make it slow. And fast again. Put it on auto. Right? And you guys could really hear it as well. And then, of course, looking at your meter will also kind of give you an indicator of the how long these things or quick these things are acting, right? If you look at the meter, you'll see it's trying to get a little bit over 4, but it's acting, the release is holding it for whatever it feels it needs to be held for. That's what auto does. It acts on its own. You have nothing to do with it, right? And then if you look at how quick it's acting, watch the needles, right? Let's make it quicker. Now let's make it slow. In between. And slow again. Let me quit. I think I bored you guys with this drum track. I just wanted to really demonstrate the power of the attack time and its importance to your track and understanding the dynamics and how the dynamics work in the world of compression. It will take years playing around with it. Some of the best have even taken their time to understand compression because it's a beautiful tool, but it's one of the most troublesome things to understand in the world of engineering. And a lot of people just think they just put a compressor on everything, and sometimes it's just too much. It makes things behave too much in a sense. It's just too much dynamics. You don't have to put a compressor on everything, or you don't have to compress everything in the same way, right? So that way you'll understand how this relates to all of your tracks, whether it be drums, bass, guitar, vocals, keys, piano, synths, all kinds of stuff. Your understanding of the compressor and the components of it, in this case the Attck, will help you understand when to use it, when not to use it, how to dial in between and make a better track sounding like a better track, right? And once you understand the attack time in compressors, you could understand it in multi-band compressors, you could understand it in limiters, you could understand it in maximizers, and you could understand it in any kind of dynamic plug-in or hardware. You'll understand how that relates to that particular unit in anything, right? One day I'll get into limiters and how that actually works and helps your track behave as well. I think I actually had this on. It doesn't matter. I still wanted you to hear it in either way, and you were able to hear it. I have this thing on here, this output protection. I kind of like it. I love it. And I had a multi-band compression on the drums on the Sen. But in any event, they're all acting in the same way. There's an Attck in the multi-band. There's an Attck in this limiter here. This is my setting. I really shouldn't name this. But there's an attack time here as well, right? Fast, medium, or slow. And this is just a maximizer, right? So it does the same thing in the fast and slow and auto. Same kind of components in a compressor. This is just a different version of a compressor. But we won't get into that. I've talked too much. I've bored you guys. Thank you for coming to Zeb's Corner. Please hit the subscribe, like, ask questions. Tell me if I stink. Tell me if I have a horrible voice, whatever the case is. Keep on coming. And again, keep making great music. Thanks again for coming at Zeb's Corner.
GPM.